Hello guys, I'm Tom, and today we'll explore what Moorwens are. Among the most fascinating, terrifying, and tragically memorable beings that science fiction cinema has gifted us, Moorwens hold a privileged place that few monsters have ever achieved. Hailing from the enigmatic and hostile planet Mortwen, these predators are not only remarkable for their ferocity, but also for a surprisingly complex intelligence that makes them formidable adversaries and, at the same time, creatures imbued with an almost mythological aura. Their presence on the big screen became unforgettable thanks to the film Outlander, 2008, where every detail of their design, from their bioluminescent anatomy to their instinct-filled gaze, was etched into the memory of viewers, blending terror and fascination in equal measure. The story developed in the film immerses us in a devastating and profoundly human conflict. An advanced civilization, equipped with interstellar technology, decides to conquer Mortwen with the goal of establishing new colonies. What should have been a peaceful exploration mission quickly turns into a systematic act of extermination. The planet's rich and diverse flora and fauna are mercilessly ravaged, and the Moorwens, ancient rulers of Mortwen, are nearly wiped out. However, one of these predators survives the massacre, and with it begins a story charged with revenge, rage, and cosmic justice that escalates to epic proportions. After the human occupation, the only remaining Moorwen becomes a living testament to the resilience of its species. Its fury is such that it transforms into an unstoppable force. Entire colonies are devastated within hours, leaving a trail of destruction that makes this creature the central antagonist of Outlander. But what truly makes it unforgettable is not just its imposing appearance. The story behind its survival and thirst for vengeance adds layers of drama and depth, turning its struggle into an almost poetic reflection of a species' retribution on the brink of extinction. The creature embodies both the brutality of nature and the tragedy of loss, offering audiences an antagonist that not only terrifies but also evokes empathy. The film dedicates time to exploring Moorwens in detail, their origins, physical characteristics, strengths, and vulnerabilities, as well as the unique biology that makes them apex predators. Every aspect of their design was meticulously crafted to convey both ferocity and a profound sense of melancholy. Their anatomy combines brute strength and extreme agility, with long, sharp tails, muscles built for hunting, and tough skin that functions as natural armor. Bioluminescence, perhaps their most fascinating trait, not only illuminates their surroundings in spectacular red and green hues, but also serves as a mechanism for communication, hunting, and, in moments of maximum tension, as a deadly weapon. Mortwen, the Moorwens' home planet, is a vast, fertile world filled with complex ecosystems. For millions of years, the Moorwens ruled unchallenged, maintaining a natural balance between predators and prey. Their introduction in the film represents a monumental clash with human civilization. Fast, lethal, and brutally aggressive, Moorwens can move at speeds beyond human perception, anticipate movements, adapt to their environment, and become almost impossible enemies to neutralize. Human violence, including bombings, habitat destruction, and organized hunts, fails to eradicate them completely. Believing the planet secure and all Moorwens eliminated, the colonists withdraw confidently, leaving behind what they consider a closed conflict. However, the reality was far darker. A surviving Moorwen emerges from the shadows, driven by a thirst for revenge that unleashes absolute chaos. Its return is devastating. The previously secure human colony is destroyed with lethal precision. The creature even manages to infiltrate the invader's ship, triggering a massacre that leaves much of the crew dead. The ship ultimately crashes in Scandinavia in the year 709 AD, carrying both the survivors and the Moorwen, sparking a brutal collision between science fiction and medieval history. There, in isolated villages and dark forests, the monster resumes its cycle of terror, confronting Nordic warriors who believe they are facing a demon. The story takes on an almost mythological dimension. A predator from another world faces humans in their most primitive context, blending epic horror and survival. The Moorwen is not just a relentless killer. It is a predator with near superhuman abilities. Its bioluminescence, as mentioned earlier, serves to hunt, send signals to other Moorwens when they exist, and express primitive emotions, intensifying the audience's emotional connection to the creature. Its impenetrable skin withstands human and medieval attacks, and its sharp, flexible tail functions as a deadly whip capable of tearing through flesh, bone, and solid materials. Even attempts to challenge it, such as the memorable confrontation with a priest attempting to invoke divine forces, end in tragedy, showing that the energy of its bioluminescence can be lethal. Every scene featuring the Moorwen reinforces the idea that we are facing a predator designed to have no rivals, a being that combines intelligence, strength, and a survival instinct that borders on the superhuman. Moorwens are not merely predators. They are true masters of speed and precision, capable of executing movements that defy any human logic. Their reflexes verge on the superhuman, allowing them to neutralize an enemy even before the latter can perceive the danger or raise a weapon. They move like living shadows, silent and lethal, appearing and disappearing in the darkness, so subtly that predicting their attacks becomes impossible. But their skill is not limited to solid ground. Moorwens are exceptional swimmers, able to remain submerged for long periods without needing to breathe, adapting easily to rivers, lakes, or any body of water, making them incredibly versatile predators, capable of dominating any environment imagined by humans. Although on their home planet Mortwen, Moorwens moved effortlessly in open spaces, the specimen that arrived on Earth demonstrated surprising ingenuity by choosing underground shelters, secluded caves, and tunnel systems that allowed it to remain hidden. This decision was no accident. It was a carefully calculated strategy. By hiding in these remote locations, it could exact its revenge on humans with lethal precision without being detected. This same cunning was key to its survival during the near-total extermination of its species. Instead of confronting the invaders directly, it stayed in the shadows, making humans believe all Moorwens had been eliminated. Patience, intelligence, and strategic planning were weapons as powerful as its sharp tails or blinding speed. Regarding their behavior, Moorwens alternate between stealth hunting and frontal attacks, adapting their strategies to the situation. They can stalk their prey in absolute silence, moving like ghosts through vegetation or rock, and then suddenly strike with devastating brutality in broad daylight. Their speed is so impressive that following them with the eye is nearly impossible. In seconds, a Moorwen can cover dozens of meters and take down its target before it has a chance to react. Their predatory instinct is relentless. They do not discriminate between living or already dead victims, and their ferocity knows no bounds, solidifying their reputation as Mortwen's ultimate predators. Their senses are equally overwhelming. They possess penetrating vision that allows them to detect the slightest movement, a sense of smell capable of distinguishing individuals from great distances, and hearing so acute that they perceive vibrations and sounds imperceptible to humans. This combination of sensory abilities made them hunters impossible to deceive and, over millions of years, secured their absolute dominance over Mortwen, with no natural rivals challenging their supremacy. Every aspect of their biology was optimized for survival. Strength, intelligence, and adaptability combined in a predator that approached evolutionary perfection. The film also introduces a disturbing element: Moorwen's capacity to reproduce. Although the exact process is never detailed, several possibilities are suggested, sparking intense debate among fans. One theory posits that the Moorwen that arrived on Earth was a pregnant female, and that a prolonged gestation period delayed birth until its arrival on our planet. Another, even more unsettling theory suggests that Moorwens could be hermaphroditic or asexual, capable of self-fertilization and reproduction without a mate, which would make them an even greater threat, as a single specimen could multiply uncontrollably, endangering entire ecosystems. The film also hints that Moorwens display an almost ritualistic behavior toward their offspring. Apparently, they tend to accumulate the remains of their victims near the place where they shelter their young, not as a simple macabre act, but as a strategic food reserve. Birth is presented in a grotesque and deeply impactful manner. The newborn emerges wrapped in a placenta reminiscent of terrestrial mammals, while the adult creature ensures the capture of a human soldier to serve as immediate sustenance. This cycle of hunting and protection reveals the harshness of their survival instinct and the ruthless logic of their species. However, despite their predatory perfection, Moorwens possess notable vulnerabilities. The advanced weapons of the Outlander colonizers could critically injure them, allowing most of the species to be exterminated during the initial invasion. Their skin, though extraordinarily resilient, has a weak point. Swords forged from the metal of the colonial ship can pierce it, as demonstrated when Kanan wounds a Moorwen in the head and ultimately, Freya manages to kill it. Additionally, their phosphorescent green blood leaves a visible trail, making tracking easier and turning it into a double-edged weapon against them. Perhaps the most tragic and ironic vulnerability is their own intelligence combined with emotion. Awareness of their loss, thirst for revenge, and the stubbornness accompanying their predatory instinct repeatedly lead them to expose themselves to fatal risks. The last Moorwen, blinded by rage and the need for retribution, confronts warriors and colonists, even after having devastated entire villages, ultimately leading to its own destruction and, simultaneously, to the death of its offspring, closing a cycle of violence that is as inevitable as it is heartbreaking. Regarding their deeper origins, information is scarce and mysterious. They were known to be Mortwen's supreme hunters, but it is unknown which other species shared their world, what natural prey they consumed, or what their exact diet was. It is likely that any other life forms on the planet were eliminated by the colonizers before settling, leaving an ecological void and a mystery regarding the true natural balance that Moorwens maintained for millions of years. This combination of biological perfection, strategic intelligence, and emotional tragedy makes Moorwens fascinating, terrifying, and profoundly unforgettable creatures within the Outlander universe. Some Outlander fans have proposed a fascinating and at the same time unsettling theory. Moorwens did not merely feed on other creatures. They also absorbed the life energy of their own planet. This unique connection to Mortwen allowed them to grow, strengthen, and adapt in ways no other predator could match. Although never officially confirmed, the idea has become part of the myth surrounding these terrifying alien creatures, fueling debates among fans about the true extent of their power. According to this theory, their survival and hunting instinct were not based solely on physiology, but also on an almost spiritual bond with the planet that gave them life, granting them unparalleled resilience and ferocity. The Moorwen we see in the film is not a traditional villain. It does not act out of malice or simple destructive instinct. It is essentially an intelligent animal, a predator with refined instincts, whose entire world and everything it loved was taken from it by human greed. That profound, heartbreaking loss becomes an intense grudge, a driving force compelling it to seek revenge on those who destroyed its world. Its violence is not gratuitous. Every attack has a purpose. Every victim serves as a reminder of the injustice it suffered. The creature attacks the Outlanders relentlessly, but also targets anyone it considers an extension of those responsible for Mortwen's devastation. Its fury, charged with pain and memory, transforms every hunting scene into an almost poetic act of cosmic retribution. But the Moorwen's vengeance is not limited to the original invaders. Once on Earth, it also confronts Vikings who cross its path, even though they had nothing to do with its species' extinction. This dynamic creates a fascinating narrative dilemma. While the Moorwen acts with blind rage, Kanan, the human protagonist, bears the weight of guilt and remorse for participating in the destruction of the species. The film thus builds an emotional parallel. The predator, blinded by loss, and the human, aware of his crimes and the magnitude of the tragedy he helped unleash. One of the most powerful scenes reflects this parallel in a moving and terrifying way. In the final moments, Kanan and the Moorwen lock eyes. In that exchange, a mutual understanding seems to emerge. Kanan recognizes the magnitude of the creature's suffering, while the Moorwen appears to comprehend that not all humans are responsible for the devastation. However, the cycle of violence is inexorable. The creature has become an uncontrollable force driven by bloodlust, and the hero is forced to end it. This moment of tension culminates in a clash that combines horror, tragedy, and redemption, solidifying the Moorwen as a complex, multifaceted character rather than a mere monster. The Moorwen's origin traces back to the mind of director Howard McCain, who from a young age showed fascination with British folklore and epic tales, especially the poem Beowulf. He discovered this classic in 1992 and soon began imagining how to bring its monsters and heroes to the big screen. Initially, he conceived a fantasy film, but at that time, long before the rise of the Lord of the Rings, he doubted that such a project could achieve commercial success. Inspired by classic science fiction, McCain decided to reinterpret Grendel as an extraterrestrial being rather than a magical monster, reasoning that if a creature appeared in the Viking era, the most coherent explanation would be that it was a visitor from another world, not a product of local mythology. For years, McCain wrote multiple drafts, including one in 1998, while the project remained on hold. He knew he needed a specialist capable of bringing his ideas to life, so he contacted Patrick Tatopoulos, a renowned cinematic creature designer. McCain commissioned the first sketches of the adult Moorwen and its offspring. After reviewing numerous designs, he was convinced that Tatopoulos was the right person to materialize the creature, combining threat and beauty, terror and tragedy. When the film finally received the green light, Tatopoulos took on the responsibility of designing the Moorwen. With experience in films like Pitch Black and The Cave, he drew inspiration from Viking iconography, particularly the depiction of dragons and mythological beasts, with the intention that human characters might confuse the Moorwen with a legendary being. This reinforced the Norse setting and allowed the monster to integrate organically into the film's historical world. One of Tatopoulos' most original contributions was giving the creature a bioluminescent appearance. This feature not only made it visually striking, but also became a crucial narrative element. The light emitted by its body reflected emotions, intensified the tension of the hunt, and served as a weapon when the creature attacked. To achieve this effect, Tatopoulos deeply studied Viking art and painting, incorporating motifs and patterns that evoked ancient symbols, giving the Moorwen an air of antiquity and enigma. Although the project took years to materialize, it finally came to fruition, and despite being an independent production, it achieved some recognition for its originality and narrative depth. McCain explained that the name Moorwen was inspired by both H.G. Wells' The Time Machine and characters created by J.R.R. Tolkien, blending science fiction and fantasy into a single concept. From the start, McCain did not want his creature to be a mere movie monster. His intention was to give it a tragic and emotional backstory, following the line of classics such as King Kong or Boris Karloff's Frankenstein. After the impact of Alien in 1979, most cinematic monsters had been conceived as biological weapons or killing machines, without exploring their suffering or motivations. McCain broke that trend. He aimed for the audience to empathize with the Moorwen, to see it as a victim of human greed, even if its actions were bloody and terrifying. Tatopoulos reinforced this vision, designing the Moorwen not only as a fearsome predator, but as a being with its own personality, presence, and character. Every line, gesture, and movement of the Moorwen conveys intelligence, pain, and fury. The final result was an unforgettable creature, fierce, dangerous, and at the same time profoundly tragic. A monster that, beyond instilling terror, reflects the brutality of those who condemned it to loneliness and eternal vengeance, making it one of the most complex and emblematic antagonists in modern science fiction cinema.